We'll take a look at Ethiopian Jews living in Israel and also in the United States. Stand by. Beta Israel is what they call themselves. Brad Pomerantz is with us. He's at USC right now reviewing the exhibit.
We are at the California African American Museum, getting ready to go in and take a look at Toward Freedom, which is a photography exhibition of work by photojournalist Irene Fertik, and it represents 42 photographs of the Ethiopian Jewish community in Israel and the Los Angeles Ethiopian community.
What can you tell us about how this exhibit came to this august museum?
Well, it actually was a great thing. We were in contact with Irene Fertik, and we had done a show of hers previously. And she told us about these wonderful photographs that she had of the Ethiopian diaspora. And we wanted to do an exhibition about Ethiopian Jews in Israel and about the Ethiopian community here in Los Angeles.
What is it about both communities that's of interest to you, the museum goers?
Absolutely. I think when we think African American, we kind of think of those black people, if you will, that have had a history of enslavement in this country. And our mission is so much broader than that. African American means so many things today. And one of those things is people that have recently come from Africa. And so we wanted to look at the Ethiopian community in Los Angeles. We have the second largest Ethiopian community in the United States. And so we wanted to take a look at this community and how they intersected and interconnected and show a little bit of their history.
Since I was born among them, Ethiopian Jewish has a long story, and we've lived over 2,500 years, our ancestors in Ethiopia. So we claim that we're the original Jews among the Jewish people, and that will be revealed in the future, and we're working in that one to make fact. We are the tribe of Dan, which is called Lost Tribe. And the Ethiopian Jewish traveled since the Queen of Sheba and King Solomon. And we claim that Ethiopian Jewish, or in Ethiopia, the Ark Covenant is still in Ethiopia. So that makes us the honor of Ethiopia to be Jewish and the Ark Covenant. Queen of Sheba heard about King Solomon, the wisdom of King Solomon, and she wanted to visit him in Israel. And King Solomon heard a lot about Queen of Sheba, and he was interested in exchanging a lot of informations. At the end, she went and met him. But at the return, she conceived, and she had a boy named Menelik, which is the first king of Ethiopia. The Jewish people from Israel, during the Babylonians, they scattered around the world. So they go to Yemen. Once in Ethiopia, the Aksumite kingdom was the civilization was very high, and a lot of around the world would come to there. So some from Yemen, they traveled to Ethiopia. And some of the Yemenite Jewish and resided in Ethiopia, and they lived there, and they contacted with the other Jewish in Ethiopia. It was discovered about maybe 100 years ago by Professor Feitlovich and Professor Halevi. And these people came to Ethiopia to find out if they were Jewish, and sure enough, they came to Ethiopia, found Ethiopian Jews. But they want to find out how the Ethiopian Jews lived, and they want to tell them they were Jewish. The Ethiopian Jews didn't accept them, because the Ethiopian Jews believed that we were the only Jewish left on the face of the earth.
For the majority of us in America, we had no idea that there are Jews from Ethiopia, right? Even in the African American community, we're like, what is this? And so it was great to go through and select photographs that tell that story, to write these labels that give information. We actually have a tapestry done by an Ethiopian monk that looks at King Solomon and Queen of Sheba and that line of history. And so we have a little bit of something for everybody, no matter what part of the history you know. The title is actually a controversial one in that it's called Toward Freedom, right? But we didn't put any punctuation after it. It's not a period, it's not an exclamation mark, it's not a question mark, it's not an ellipses. And that's simply because it means so many things to so many people, and it is controversial. Have Ethiopian Jews in Israel found freedom? Have they been moving toward freedom? The same question can be asked throughout the diaspora, and so we wanted to leave it open to interpretation. And I do want to especially note the wonderful community supporters and advisors that we've had during the making of the exhibition. You've heard from Semu, Nikki Legacy, Alem, Remo, Mimi. They have all contributed to this exhibition being wonderful.
I want to thank Nikki Legacy, who she organized or communicated with the African American Museum and to have this kind of exhibition. And I would like to thank the African American Museum and Tiffany Bauer for allowing and the designated room to show our exhibition, our Ethiopian Jewish and Ethiopian community. I'm sure she went with a lot of process to make it approved, and thanks for African Americans for building this building, and if it was not built, we wouldn't have this.